I'd like to introduce Dan Jacobson, the chair of the Board of Jewish Community Services of South Florida.
Good morning. You can continue to eat and help yourself to the buffet. I will do that after I start the program. As Fred said, I'm Dan Jacobson. I'm chair of Jewish Community Services of South Florida. And on behalf of JCS, I welcome you to this 2015 annual meeting. We're really pleased that you could join us today. It's an important part of our year to recognize those people that have supported JCS in the community, including state, county, and city funders, the United Way of Miami-Dade County, the Miami Jewish Federation of Miami, the Greater Miami. I'm on the board. I can't even remember. I see Jacob here this morning, and my thoughts go.
You might not be on the board then.
Greater Miami Jewish Federation. Thank you. The foundations and strategic organizations that provide JCS with grants, and our donors, and of course, our staff and volunteers. Now I'd like to introduce Rabbi Moshe Thomas Hine, who is the rabbi here at Temple Israel and is hosting us this morning, who will give an invocation and Devar Torah.
Good morning and welcome. I'm very glad to have all of you here this morning, and very glad to be partnering with JCS. You've got to love the fact that we have free parking, so I hope you appreciate that. And a facility that can accommodate a group like this. We are natural partners in that we're doing the work of Tikkun Olam, and really being connected through our Jewish values that really inspired the work that we do. One thing I notice about this week's Torah portion, Beha'alotecha, it refers to many interesting things about the menorah and about the people in the wilderness. They were complaining about the food even then. So things haven't changed in some ways. However, there's one really interesting section about how God tells Moses that if someone isn't in a place where they can make it to Jerusalem for Passover, that they're given a second chance, that a month later, they can, if they're in a better place then, they can go to Jerusalem and have like what's called Pesach Sheni, like a second Passover. And there's something about that expresses compassion, that everyone needs the opportunity for a second chance. I think we all know that in our own lives, and we know that is true in the lives of the people we work with. And that's what JCS is so good about doing, about helping people have that opportunity and make use of that opportunity for a second chance. And so I want to offer an invocation for this sacred gathering, really, of people who are committed to helping others, committed to the compassion that is expressed in this Torah portion and in so many other ways as a core value of our tradition. Oh God, we pray that you look upon us with favor, that you bless us in the work that we do, striving to do your will and to make it possible for all to have food and shelter and opportunities to make their lives meaningful. We pray that in doing your work, you'll bless us with the strength and clarity and insight that we need to continue to do this work in the coming year. Together we say, Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. One of the difficulties that social service agencies have is making the case why constituencies should invest in the nonprofit. Nonprofit social service agencies are focused on delivering services. We are kind of the emergency rooms doing triage, and we typically don't have the resources or the expertise to define to our constituencies the long-term value of our organizations. The JCS Long-Term Sustainability Plan requires us to help our constituencies understand our value and the value we provide to the community. Now I'd like to call upon Harv Mogul, who is president of the United Way of Miami and who has been a tremendous asset to our community. I think most of you know that through the United Way, it is the largest funder of social service agencies and programs in our community, and we're really pleased to have you here this morning.
Good morning, everybody. My main job is to get away from this microphone, which I promise you I'm going to do really quickly. It's my pleasure to be here today to congratulate JCS on a great 15 years and a whole bunch more to come. The service that you're already putting on the table for this community has been remarkable and innovative. And Fred, that's largely your doing. I want to shout out to you for what you do. So, you're really smart. Tony Viamil is a treasure in this community. He is known for his intellect. He's known for his wisdom. He sits at important tables in this community and in Tallahassee and in Washington, D.C. And if you went around the world, the Washington Economic Group is a known quantity and a known commodity as well, and making a difference in so many ways. You have a copy, I believe, of his bio. I will not take, Tony, your valuable time in going through all that, but please understand that if you talk about policymakers, Tony's name is there. He has worked for presidents, more than one, and made a difference in our national fabric of our society. He is an educator and has strong relationships with St. Thomas and other universities, and has made a huge difference in those programs. He's a civic leader, I mean, truly a civic leader. What would a Beacon Council be without Tony? What would many organizations be without Tony's leadership? I'm told by someone, actually it's his wife, Mary Lena, who sits on the board of United Way, I can tell you that Fred Stock has partnered with her over the past several years to run our public policy venture. Mary Lena said that, you need to know this, is that one of his unique qualities is that he bleeds purple and gold. Now, if anyone knows anything about the American university system, you'll know that purple and gold means LSU. And if you don't know what LSU means, I'm not telling. Tony can do that. He's got a bachelor's, a master's, PhD from that university and FIU, and he uses them well. But the important thing is, and I think this is the most important thing, is that his real expertise is in Civil War history, American Civil War. I guess I gotta add that in Miami when you live in Miami. Our Civil War here in the United States. And you can find Tony and Marilena over the years on battlegrounds up in Maryland, where I am from, whether it's Gettysburg or Antietam or others. But unlike anyone else in this room, when he visits those places, he has the wisdom and the ability to analyze and replay the battles to the point where anyone he wants to win can. Now, I'm confident that the study that the Washington Economic Group did for you all is totally loaded up with that wisdom and that intellect, and it's going to make a huge difference in helping you continue your 15 years and making a huge difference here. So let's give a big LSU welcome to Tony Viamil.
What a great job you do in social services for Miami and the state of Florida. We have learned the social services organizations, in which you are a premier example, provides significant opportunities to our community and has major economic development impacts. Without them, we would be in deep trouble here in Miami-Dade County and in South Florida and throughout the nation and in the state. And I think it's very important to point out that when Fred and Cheryl, what a great job the staff does, and Fred and Cheryl working with our team of putting together the data that it was needed for this and the information on the various programs and the various outcomes. And so we want to be talking about the significant economic impacts of JCS now in terms of how we put together the data. So I was talking about the important work that JCS does, and all the community of all of you volunteers and Fred and Cheryl and the whole staff in putting together with our team of economists, and Verity Finch, who's our manager of client services, is here with us too, putting together the important data on outcomes that you produce as a result of the funding by individuals and grants of JCS. And I was saying that social service organizations provide a significant contribution to economic development. Harvey with the United Way, JCS, and other organizations, but I have learned a lot about all your work and all you do, and it's just, it really pleases me to be able to be here today and explain some of the data. So we're talking about economics here now. When we talk about economic impacts, we're talking about the impacts that the activities, the expenditures, but also most importantly, the outcomes of the various programs of JCS provides to the community. So we're talking about the economic development side of JCS, and also how well they do in our community relative to impacts. For example, how do you impact employment? How do you impact household income in our community? And when we talk about employment, we're not talking about just the staff, which is important, of the JCS. We're talking about also all the volunteers, because the volunteers have imputed value in our community. I mean, you're volunteering, certainly you're not making a wage, but at the same time you're providing outcomes that are important to this community. So, and also the outcomes that come out, people that we place in employment, for example, the disabled, the elderly, the fact that we take care of them, all of this has an imputed value in our community, and it filters through the whole economy of Miami-Dade County and of the state of Florida. The first thing that we did is to be able to take a look and see, okay, what are some of the major impacts that you provide to the community? Both from the point of view, and you'll see it is a kind of a circle with the various impacts that you provide. Some of these impacts are what we economists call benefits to the whole community, what we call externality benefits, benefits that cannot be quantified. For example, improving the standard of living of our community, reducing the social services cost to taxpayers. Those things that are very beneficial to the community are called externality benefits. Then we also quantify the actual economic impacts. How many people you placed in employment, and what is the income stream of the people you place in employment who are unemployed, for example, by working and producing income, and therefore spending in the economy, and indirectly, as they spend, they also support taxes in the economy, the sales tax. As you know, we tax everything in terms of the universe. So here in Florida, we don't have a state income tax, but we have a sales tax. So any activity of the previously unemployed now with income, that generates economic activity. We also empower our community. If we're going to be a top-class world city here in Miami-Dade, or a top-class world state like Florida, we need to empower those who need help. And otherwise, without the JCS, we will be in significant problems relative to the elderly who needs help in nursing homes, relative to the education of our youth at risk, and also relative to, like I said, employment placement. So all these factors, I think, are critical to our community that we include in the 35-page report. I don't know, Fred, if you want to make it available, obviously, to the board and everybody else.
It's going to be available on our website.
It will be available on the website. So it's a 35-page report, and I don't want to give you today, this morning, a case of economists, which is called MEGO. It's a disease, M-E-G-O, my eyes glaze over. I like breakfast in the morning because in breakfast you have had coffee and everybody's awake. You should see me trying to explain this in the cocktail hour. Makes it a little more difficult. So in other words, so let's talk about all these things that I just mentioned that we put together in terms of actual quantification of economic impacts. And you can see, and you will be, I'll be discussing it with you in a second. First is we took a look at all the outcomes that you produce through the expenditures, the funding of the donors, the grants, the foundations, and the volunteers that work in the various programs, together with the board. What are the outcomes relative to how many people you place in jobs, as I mentioned, in terms of allowing youth at risk to finish primary education, primary high school, and some of them even college too also. And also help with the elderly in need that requires services that otherwise the state would have to pay for, and therefore cost all of us taxpayers who are in the private sector. So those are the economic impacts. So I like to produce what the outcomes of those economic impacts are, and you'll see them now at this time. In the let's see, we got that there now. Yep. Okay, let's go with it. Technology. You know, I don't know about you all, but I have a new Volvo, and that car talks back to me. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of weird. You know, being a boomer, I kind of like go, what? It's a car on the left. I was like, what? Anyway, let's put the next slide, please. See, and this has shows, so each of them will have. See, this is a kind of overall, so if you can go one by one now. You can see the contributions to jobs and economic activity, like we talked about, of your outcomes, and the well-spent investment from your donors and that are critical. And you can see how important that is relative to a return on investment to the economy of Florida. The empowerment of the underserved, we talked about that also. You can see that there also. Reduce social services costs. You know, this is something that without the major social services organizations here, the cost to taxpayers would have been huge, and to all of us. So the kind of work you do as volunteers, as the board, the staff, in terms of helping those in need, it's critical to decrease the social services costs to our society. And I'm not talking about just taxpayers, I'm also talking about criminality, you know, police, all these other things that would be needed there with the JCS, we're reducing that significantly. So we measure those impacts. You have the development of an educated and skilled workforce is another major area. We cannot allow those who need help to be left behind. Otherwise, we create inequality of income, we create social ills in our society. So, and the state of Florida has a major strategy or goal to create an educated and skilled workforce, especially here in Miami-Dade County, where we're open to the rest of the world and competition from the rest of the world. So that's something that JCS does very well. And then the like supporting the economic development strategy that I mentioned, those are the kind of both on externality benefits as well as quantification of economic impact. So when you take your outcomes in education, in employment placement, in help for the elderly, and you look at the outcomes over time, how many people we place, how many people we help, and everything else, that has impacts that can be quantified in terms of the income stream of the population, for example, that has been served, or the reduction in social costs. And you will see now what are the summary of the impacts. Like I promised you, it would be 3 or 4 slides. I won't give you Migo this morning. You have a lot of things to do. The next one, please. So these are the significant economic impacts that you produce with your volunteerism, with your donations, with your investment in our community. You support close to 7,000 jobs in our community. And you say, well, you know, we're small, we don't do that. I say, yes, you do, because your outcomes generate activity and generate income for those that you place in employment or that finish high school or finish college because of your services. And you also reduce the social services costs to both the county as well as the state. So jobs supported is equivalency. What it means is that it's not only part-time jobs, but also full-time jobs, includes those that are volunteers. So as the spending of all your outcomes are filtered through the community over time, or those people who have been employed, for example, that spending generates other types of economic activity. And you know, the retail grocer, for example, and the suppliers to the retail grocer or the store, all these other things. So in reality, you're a major economic development engine as a social service organization, supporting in the state of Florida over 7,000 jobs throughout the community, both full and part-time, including your volunteers. Because of the excellent outcomes that you produce and the efficiency in terms of expenditures that you produce, you also generate in the state, primarily in Dade County, over $240 million in household income. These are people who are now members of society, who have been placed, who have degrees, who before they wouldn't have. So the household income generated is also another important economic impact, and that's what you do with your activities at JCS. And the total economic impact on the state of Florida, again primarily Dade County, is over $500 million. So that, and that's all the methodology that is accepted professionally, that government uses, the private sector uses that methodology called input-output methodology to be able to determine these very important impacts from your outcomes. Now, the most interesting thing is, then, okay, you do all that and that's your impact. Next slide, please. But if you are a donor and you're investing in JCS, we look at the economic impact, economic development impact of JCS, like I mentioned, and you said, okay, what is the social return on that investment of that donor, that individual, that foundation, that grant that is being provided through highly efficient operations? Because what we found is that you're highly efficient, JCS, in terms of turning each dollar donated into significant economic impact. You can see that here, that through highly efficient operations, for each dollar in donations to the Jewish Community Services, its programs and services generate, so every dollar that you give, $15 in household income, over $15, $21 in GDP, which is total production in the economy, and over $32 in total economic impact. To me, that's a pretty good rate of return of your dollar invested. Extremely good rate of return on your dollar invested. And then the whole community, in terms of all the benefits, your expenditures receives economic benefits because you spend money to do these outcomes. Those expenditures, in terms of benefits, are 16 times. So for 16 times the expenditure. So that is a major economic impact of JCS that we have found through actual research, looking at actual data, looking at actual income outcomes, looking at actual expenditures in terms of the investors that are in JCS. And I told Fred that you and the team and the board should be extremely proud, and the volunteers, of the work you do in our community, because those are real outcomes relative to investment in the organization. So let me just finalize by saying, the next slide, please. And this is really the main conclusion that we should take from all of this. That through highly efficient operations and low operating budget, so I was amazed about the low operating budget in relation to the outcomes and the economic development impacts that JCS produces. Through partnerships and funding agencies, so generated this operating expense budget through partnerships with funding agencies, community organizations like the United Way and others, and local leaders. JCS is improving the quality of lives and generating significant social and economic impacts through successful program outcomes. So that's what we came out after a 3 to 4 month study working with JCS. Thank you. Okay.
Before you go, we have a gift for you. We really appreciate the time and effort you took to help us better understand the value we provide to the community. And we know that a lot of the effort that you did on our behalf was also gratuitous, and we really appreciate it.
And of course, thank you for all you do, by the way. So,
Hold that down. One more of that.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony.
Right.
So you may want to hold this, it's probably easier. I'm going to turn the light on for you.
Good to see you.
Okay.
Thank
you so much,
Absolutely. Jeff, of course, Fred.
Among the efficiencies we also have are running on time this morning. There's actually a whole program book that I'm supposed to be following, but as Larry and Fred know, I don't always go by the script.
Sí. Okay.
As you heard, the agency commissioned
Bye, thanks.
the Washington Economic School to quantify.
Sorry, that was for the camera only. I should have told you that.
Okay.
That PowerPoint, can I get a copy of that for the
You have it on the website.
Is that whose computer is that? Can I just get the file right off the computer?
You are our investors and collaborators, and we're really pleased that you could be here today to help support the agency going forward.
Who do I ask to get it off of the computer?
Fred's talking to the gentleman who's speaking either way.
Okay, thank you.
I want to acknowledge only a limited portion of those.
If I could get the slides off of that
Not a
computer
problem.
for the video.
Beautiful, no problem.
I also want to acknowledge, and please, if you would stand to be recognized, Victoria Mayete, the Executive Director of the Homeless Trust. Marie Jean Behrens from the City of North Miami. Rabbi Solomon Schiff and his wife Shirley. Rabbi Fred Klein. Elizabeth Sorarte from the Alliance for Aging. And certainly, last but not least, our friends from the Greater Miami Jewish Federation, Jacob Solomon, the president. I also wish to thank Cooley and Loki, Local Investment Banking, for sponsoring the breakfast this morning. Jeff Levine, who is Managing Director for Houlihan Loki and board member, has been a tremendous supporter to our agency, and we really appreciate all that you do financially and with your time. Thank you. You may have noticed that some of us are wearing ribbons as part of our name tags. This signifies our commitment to the long-term sustainability of this agency by including JCS in our estate plan. We are called the bridge, society because we are trying to bridge the present to the future. One of our challenges as nonprofits is to be there over time to support those in our community in need. So all of those of you who have committed to the legacy of JCS, I ask that you stand and be recognized. And those of you that have not received the painting that was done by Thomas Moll, one of the Holocaust survivors, as an acknowledgement of your support for the agency, please see David Wagenbaum after the meeting, and we'll arrange to get you a print of that beautiful painting. I'd also like to acknowledge the board of directors of JCS. This is a working board, and our agency is very complicated, and it really requires a lot of effort from lay leadership in order to supervise and oversee and be engaged in operational aspects of the agency. And without this lay group of leaders, my job would be significantly greater. So I ask that all of those members of the board of directors who are here today, if you could just rise and be recognized. In addition to the strong supporters that we have in the community, United Way, Greater Miami Jewish Federation, and others, I want to acknowledge today certain special partners that have really been helpful this past year in helping us with our sustainability plan. Initially, I want to recognize Norman and Irma Brayman, who have agreed to support part of the Holocaust service, Holocaust clients who have medical needs that are not covered by other funding support. They're doing this on their individual basis, and we really appreciate them helping those that otherwise would not be receive medical support from the funds and finances of the agency. I also want to recognize the Brayman Foundation, who has agreed to match one of our funding events, Matzah and More, which continues through the end of this month. So any of you who want to support our Feeding the Community program and have not done so already, the Brayman Foundation will also match that gift. In addition, I want to recognize the Batchelor Foundation, who is one of the most significant charitable foundations in our community, who has stepped forward very generously and agreed to support the JCS Youth Academic Support Service Program, which enables JCS to have a greater impact on helping at-risk youth. And finally, as we continue with this theme of investing in tomorrow, I want to acknowledge Glenn Huber. Glenn is the paradigm of the person that we're trying to reach through the work that Tony Bienwald did. He is a person who had really little knowledge or involvement in our agency before this year. And through efforts of JCS staff and Glenn's caring and supportive nature, he agreed to provide seed money for JCS to begin implementing one of its sustainability strategies. Glenn's donation will have an enormous impact on JCS and its ability to respond to the community needs into the future. And Glenn, I'd really like to thank you on behalf of the agency for the support that you provided to us. And just stand and And now I'm going to call upon Stephen Bredenstein, who's going to help us continue with the formal portion of the program.
Good morning. Well, Dan, you found the right page, so thank you. I've managed to have about a 10-year plus association with Jewish Community Services, serving both as a member of the board as well as the chairman of the board of directors. And there were two things that I could always count on. The first was the professionalism and the expertise of the staff, the people that go out on a day-to-day basis to do the hard work in our community, working on the most difficult issues, the most difficult cases, and uplifting those who are the most needy. So I think that we all need to recognize that. I know that we're going to do more of that later in the program, but I couldn't stand up here without recognizing that. The second thing is that I could always count on the commitment and the passion of the board of directors. We've seemed to find at JCS a group of individuals who understand the needs of the community, who understand that there are people that need a helping hand, who understand that they have to commit their time and attention to help other folks. So with that as background, I'd like to take this opportunity to begin the business portion of the meeting and the installation of the officers. There are a number of people who have been renominated. I'm going to ask you to stand and where you are when I mention your name. Those who are nominated for an additional term 1 year, Dora Maya and Stephen Scheinberg. Please remain standing because I'm going to ask you to do a little oath when we get to the end. For 3-year terms, Jacqueline Berenson, Marshall Burak, Abe Rudman, Dick Slavin, Alex Takmas, and Regina Zalama. And nominated for his first 1-year term, Aubrey Duffy. Aubrey is coming to the board. This is his first term of service. He comes from a business background. He's the Director of Business Development at Atlas Real Estate Partners. More importantly, he's a graduate of Tufts University, where my son graduated 2 weeks ago. So now would you please repeat after me? I hereby promise to carry out with diligence all the duties and obligations inherent in my role as a board member. I will support the mission and vision of the agency and will provide the guidance that will allow JCS to flourish. Congratulations, you're now officially installed as members of the board. I would now like to ask the board officers to start making their way forward. As I recognize you to come to the front of the room, please, Scott Singer for secretary. Jonathan Rafey for treasurer. Abe Rudman for vice chair. Dr. Helen Chasik as chair-elect. And Dan Jacobson as chair. Abe Rudman is apparently on a business trip to China and sends his regrets. There's no official installation since they're continuing their board term, but I'd like to thank you and all the members of the board for providing your considerable expertise and talents. I'm confident that JCS's legacy of excellent service to the people of South Florida will continue unabated under your tenure.
Good morning, everyone. So our next part of the program, I have the honor of presenting the Employer of the Year Award. You may have seen the company's name listed in the program. LSG Sky Chefs. Does anyone know what does anyone who knows, raise your hand if you know who the company is. Come on. It's probably appropriate I'm giving some more because I'm on a plane 2 days a week, but if you go to the airport, you see these trucks run around the runways, and they go next to the plane, and they have these like scissor jacks that raise it up. That's where like they roll aboard the Cokes and the peanuts and all the food they used to give out. Anyway, it's a huge company. They operate 200 plus operations at airports in 51 countries around the world. Everything from traditional catering, frozen meals, I'm looking at some statistics here, 600 million meals a year. Wow, that's a little bit more than our Meals on Wheels program. Meals on Wheels, I guess. And they have over 33,000 employees worldwide. But this morning I want to talk about 25 employees of Sky Chefs, and that's 25 employees that JCS placed locally at their Miami and Fort Lauderdale commissaries. And these are folks that are working in all areas of the operation: food assembly, packaging, washing, finance. What's probably even more important, and as Tony was talking about earlier, the ongoing social impact. Out of 25 employees that JCS placed at Sky Chefs over the last 5 years, 23 of them still remain employed at the company. That's huge. And if that's not even accomplishment enough, what's probably even more noteworthy is these all come out of our Rehabilitation Employment Division. They completed the Deaf and Hard of Hearing program. So these are people that have physical challenges that through the work of JCS and our staff have, as Tony was quick to point out, been able to get into our economy and contribute and prosper, not only as employees, but also graduates, if you will, of our training program. So I think that's an amazing accomplishment. They go through an extensive 3 to 5 month counseling program where they're sitting down with prearranged interviews, how to dress for an interview, how to answer questions, and obviously with this type of tenure, they must have done a good job in their preparation as well. But to wrap it up, really, JCS, we want to thank Sky Chefs, not only for their commitment to the program, but also for the ongoing support of the agency. This is a true example of how our agency, in conjunction with local employers, can make a true impact to the economy. And if we could, I'd like to invite Norma Windross and Mauricio Martinez, who are representing Sky Chefs, to please come up and accept a token of our appreciation. This says LSG Sky Chefs Employer of the Year, June 4th, 2015. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here today. Jewish Community Services and Masada Home Care are truly blessed. We have a mission that fulfills an indispensable role in South Florida, and for the past 95 years, JCS and our predecessor agencies have had an enviable track record of accomplishment in serving those in need. And we're blessed to have highly skilled and knowledgeable staff members whose devotion to their clients and commitment to JCS and Masada are unequaled among other community agencies. We're going to be recognizing people with 15, 20, 25, 30 years of service in our agency. So their dedication is demonstrated by their faithful years of service. And as indicated in your program, 25 staff members are celebrating their 5th, 10th, and 15th years of service. And their recognition and plaques for them at the back table, very attractive, and just a small token of our appreciation for your hard work. Of special significance are another 5 staff members who have reached milestones of 20 years or more, and collectively, all these we honor represent an astonishing 315 years of service. Now I ask Joan Francis and Mark Hirschbaum to accept a small measure of our appreciation. Joan, will you stand, please? Joan is an attorney at JCS Miami Beach Senior Center, while Mark is a program director in the Rehabilitation and Employment Division. Unfortunately, Mark's responsibilities have kept him at the office this morning. Would Ann Sheffield come forward at this time? Ann, come on up. Joan, come on up, please. And Ann, wave the wings. Ann is celebrating 25 years as a Masada Home Care Coordinator. Now I want to tell you a little bit about Ann's job. You heard Rabbi Hein mention earlier in his Devar Torah that our people have a long history of complaining. Ann is the coordinator of the Masada Home Care, and I know personally of the many phone calls she gets. Well, I can't use my aid today because I have a doctor's appointment. My children are coming to take me out. So the constant changing in schedules and all of the things that she has to do, and she does it all with a smile and a sweet voice on the telephone. And thank you for all you do. For 30 years, Norma Ferrer has served Masada as building coordinator. Thank you, Norma, for your choice. Norma and Ann have worked together for so long, and they remember the names of all the predecessor agencies that came before Jewish Community Services in South Florida. I think they started with working together, so
Yes? He's asked me to. Larry said yes.
Finally, we pay tribute to a man who started work at JCS on July 1st, 1980. Some of you weren't even around then. I'm glad we have newer members of our board, younger members of our board, and the young clients who were born here. This is a program coordinator for our Senior Meals program and our longest serving employee. Please join me in thanking and congratulating Jeffrey Schoenfeld for his 35 years of service at JCS. Jeffrey is unable to attend this morning. I want to thank Elaine and Araceli for signing today. On behalf of the boards of directors of JCS and Masada, I extend our utmost gratitude and appreciation to all of you, all of the staffs. We look forward to recognizing you again as you celebrate future accomplishments and additional years with our agency. Thank you.
Co-chair of the JCS Alliance, where I've been co-chair for 3 years, and I'm on the board of directors. I'm going to read 11. We would like to share with you three of the many letters JCS routinely receives. These represent three diverse components of the services JCS provides. This first was written by Rocky Grossberger, the administrative assistant at the JCS Kosher Food Bank. Last week, an unmarked envelope with $183 in cash was found under the staff's keyboard. None of us had any idea where it came from. For the past week, we have been trying to figure out the mystery of the anonymous cash donor by calling all our regular suspects to ask if it was them. We came up with 0 leads. Today, one of our clients, a struggling single mom with 2 little girls, came in for her regular appointment and admitted to Marie casually that it was her daughter who had left the money. Her eldest daughter, all of 8 years old, but mature beyond her years, had just celebrated her birthday. This little girl has a thirst for knowledge and a keen interest in studying other cultures and traveling to faraway places. Through the magic of the JCS Kosher Food Bank Birthday Club, this little girl received her wish of a China-themed birthday party, complete with chopsticks and kimonos. She isn't able to travel the world, but on her birthday, China came to her. This birthday club sponsored party was a little different than most. Little girls should not know the burden of financial instability and food insecurity, but unfortunately, she's a smart little girl. She knows of her mother's pain and struggles all too well. She has seen her mother's strength and heard her muffled cries late at night, wondering how she will give her children everything they need. But she has also seen how the kindness of others can make such a big difference. She knows that her mom receives help from the JCS Kosher Food Bank. She knows she has gotten snacks for school, Hanukkah presents, and school supplies, and her magical birthday party, all from the food bank. She may be on the receiving end at only 8 years old, but she truly understands the concept of paying it forward. On her own volition, maybe with some encouragement from her mom, she suggested that in lieu of gifts, guests to her party give a small donation to the charity of her choice, the JCS Kosher Food Bank. She collected this money, and in an envelope, she quietly and safely left it under Marie's desk to give back to the place that she knows helps so many other people like herself. I thank this young girl for being an inspiration and an example.
This letter is from a student who was able to continue her education thanks in part to a non-interest bearing loan from the Jewish Educational Loan Fund that is administered in Miami-Dade by JCS. My semester has been an unbelievably rewarding experience career and school-wise. Having been selected last semester to be in a special division of my major called art specialization, I was one of 25 to have solely focused on my illustration skills this semester to have my portfolio displayed in the AAS Fashion Design Exhibition. It was an amazing experience to work closely with the top illustration professors at my school and grow tremendously as a designer in just a single semester. I displayed 4 major collections illustrated in the exhibit, and the feedback I got was positive, which was really rewarding. I will receive an associate's degree by August 2015 and move on to my bachelor's degree in fashion design with a minor in art history. I needed a good internship experience before I continue on to my junior year. I applied to one of the top leading fashion companies in the world who happens to have its headquarters in Miami. I went for an interview during my spring break. Unfortunately, they did not have an internship program, but they wanted to interview me as a courtesy and see what I had to offer. After the senior designer reviewed my portfolio, I left feeling that I would not be interning there, but at least it was a rewarding experience and great practice. Much to my surprise, 1 week later I received a call from the Human Resources Department. The senior designer wanted me on her team, and they offered me a temporary position as an assistant designer for the summer. I am very excited for the future. This summer working in an unbelievable company and then studying at FIT in Milan at the Politecnico di Milano. It will push me out of my comfort zone and help me focus on who I am as a designer, giving me an edge by having a global perspective of the industry. Things are moving and shaking, and I am looking forward to what is yet to come. Thank you so much.
Good morning. This letter was sent by a client who participates in JCS's Senior Meals program. Dear ladies,
I wanted to write you and tell you what gifts you are giving us. My husband is almost 92 years old. I am 87. We have enjoyed most of 66 years together. In 1976, our 21-year-old genius son joined the Klan. They destroyed his mind. He killed himself. We look forward to death. We know we'll see him. We do have a married daughter. She's 65 and lives near Atlanta, Georgia. She is our power of attorney, really cares for us. We have a quiet, mundane life. We start the day by playing rummy cue game. Being with both, have dementia. This game is a joy and helps us to gauge our memories. We watch a great deal of TV, couldn't live without it, love nature, history, news, Shark Tank, and most old movies. They are clean, little violence, and mostly wonderful plots. Channel 17 is a joy. We are both disabled, but very happy. I make bookmarks every day for 58 years. I have macular degeneration. We nap a great deal mostly, 2 to 3 hours every afternoon. We eat very little. Mostly, we share one TV dinner. Our biggest treat is eating your Meals on Wheels. They are nutritious, well-balanced, and very delicious. We save the bread for sandwiches for lunch, love the butter, and drink the fruit juices for breakfast. Also, the milk is very good. Your driver is great, opens and carries the box. We are most grateful to all of you. I don't know how we can manage without your help. Many thanks.
So I'm the final speaker of the day. Aren't you happy? And believe it or not, we're about 20 minutes early, so I decided I'll speak for another 20 minutes. Just kidding. Just kidding. Thank you all for coming today. I get real nervous before these events every year, but I guess that's part of just who I am. But then I come to these every year, and every year I'm amazed as to how much better this year was than last year. And I know that next year will be better than this year. You've heard some samplings of the work that we do at JCS. You've heard some client stories. You've heard about our staff. You've heard about our board. And I can only tell you that it takes a community to get this done. And you all here represent that community. Whether you're an institutional partner like the Alliance for Aging or the Dade County Homeless Trust or United Way, Mary Dunworth is with us. She came a little bit late. I wanted to just acknowledge her. She works closely with HAR. She's been such a valuable partner to us for too many years. I'm not going to say how many years. Of course, the Greater Miami Jewish Federation, Jacob, who I've known for over 30 years. And we've worked together all those years for the betterment of our community here in Dade. What you do is so important. And what we heard today from Tony was maybe a different angle, and perhaps one that you hadn't heard. Oftentimes, social service agencies are maligned. They're maligned because there's some belief that somehow they squander dollars. Somehow they don't use their funds wisely. I cannot disagree with that more. The social service community in Dade County plays such an important role in contributing to not only the quality of life for those in our community who are less fortunate, but also to the economic health of our community, which was outlined so convincingly by Tony earlier. Now I'll try to read the prepared remarks. We have long recognized how all not-for-profit agencies must balance the interdependence of mission and funding in order to remain viable. On one hand is the imperative for agencies such as Jewish Community Services to be relevant by meeting the needs of their constituents. In that challenge, I believe strongly that JCS continues to succeed. For more than 95 years, many people don't know that, one of the predecessor agencies of Jewish Community Services, which when I worked there 30 years ago was called Jewish Family and Children's Services, has a 95-year history in this community. We have been the community's first responder. Decades ago, we served seniors who once populated the Art Deco hotels of South Beach, or the rushing tide of Russian and Latin immigrants who came to this country in the 80s and 90s. And we also continue to respond to the painful and oftentimes muffled cries of emotionally battered and physically abused women. Today, JCS maintains these long-established performance expectations in a community with rapidly changing demographics, such as young children who are made aware of some of the dangers in their schools, teenagers who are questioning their sexual identity, or members of the Orthodox community who can turn to a culturally sensitive counselor for guidance in dealing with issues related to mental health or emotional problems. Fortunately, JCS is not an island. We are blessed to have a multitude of partners. I've outlined many of them. We collectively share a vision and a commitment to those who are less fortunate, to those who are in need of the expertise of others, and to those who need a reassuring measure of comfort and support. JCS is continuously focused on securing the financial resources to accomplish our mission. We expand our ongoing dialogue with funders and civic leaders, which convincingly demonstrate, as I said before, that contrary to the sentiment of a few, highly efficient social service agencies are important contributors to the overall economic health of our community. We are gratified that the Webb report reinforces what we already know, and we're proud of the financial impact that we have on this community. With renewed vigor, JCS will continue to involve others who understand our role in Miami-Dade, how we enable each one of us to be self-reliant, physically stronger, and emotionally healthier. We will continue to involve you and others who appreciate their vital roles in these humanitarian efforts. You are the guardian of the public trust. You must be investors in JCS and other social service agencies in South Florida that foster our community and make it economically strong and caring. I really want to thank all of you for participating in our mission and by generously giving of your time, your talents, and your resources. I hope that you will continue to invest in JCS and other social service agencies that do what we do. Together, we will continue this journey. Thank you all so much for coming. I want to close with one final thing, and it's been said in so many ways here today. I cannot thank the staff of JCS enough for the work that they do. Many of you are here this morning. I would like my staff to rise. Thank you for all that you do on behalf of our community. Have a great morning. I got you out early. Thank you all for coming.
Yes, you're right.
Area would be crowded.